be hard to get them there, But it's really a day-to-day. It really is. We're going to know a lot more about some of these guys tomorrow than we do today, and then, it's going to come down to the wire with a number of them. That's the challenge with the short week. The good news is I think most of these are not some long-term thing, but the problem is 3 days to turn around and play. That's where it becomes a bit of an issue. So if we can't, we're prepared like we always are. Next man up. You got to hold the line, do your job, and go compete.
All right, that was Dan Campbell. Didn't mention any names. Woodward Sports chat thread. Sharon V. Anyone who is not playing Thursday. That is not known. And Sharon, I would imagine that because he brought it up, a lot of these guys are going to come down to the wire. You're going to have a ton of game time decisions, D-Mac.
Yeah.
And I will say this. You and I were talking during the video. I don't know how good Dan Campbell would be at poker because I didn't like the physiology. Let's just say it like he sounded like somebody that knew that they're going to be in a tough spot.
Well, I think it was, to your point, is in a tough spot because he doesn't know what spot he's in. I think it's so questionable right now. I think going into today and tomorrow we'll have more understanding of the availability, obviously. But, yeah, that's a guy. In the end, here we go. Everybody has to deal with it. They're going to play with the short week and stuff like this. He's said it all along. So I think it was more of a I don't know who's available and who's not available just yet to put this game plan together because it's got to be, quick week for Chicago too. But going into it, we're definitely more banged up than they are.
No question. So again, I think that this point spread that opened up at 10.5 that immediately got shot up to 11.5. I think that's crazy work. And look, I know what they're doing. There's not a spread they can make high enough right now.
Right.
With the markets that are on the Lions. We talked about it on the pregame show on Sunday. They're the biggest liability for the sports book. So I get it. And the masses are going in hard on the Detroit Lions, especially too, like you get them isolated on national TV on a day where everybody's sitting around begging for something else to do than talk to their family because they're trapped. Mm-hmm. There's going to be record handles, I bet, on the sports book.
There's 2 days, right? Super Bowl and Thanksgiving.
Yep.
What are the 2 days that people that don't bet would probably
pile in
a bet because of what's going on? So, yes, the Lions will get a lot of play. That's the thing, the questionability too. And then some of the guys we're talking about, obviously, Khalif Raymond with his ankle probably be out longer, but it's, listening and hearing David Montgomery, planning to be back and he's a Warrior and stuff like this. But up front, that line's dealing with some injuries. You know what you have at linebacker. Obviously, you don't want Carlton Davis going down already when Terry Arnold's going down. Hopefully that Terry Arnold resting him, helps. So it's a lot of questions that's going to come, to fruition hopefully in the next couple of days. But you would expect to know more tomorrow, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's I think everything's going to be game time decision, and you're going to see because you're going to give yourself every opportunity to get those guys on the field. The trick is, and here's where it's tricky, I think, for the Lions. Usually you have that 10-day thing. Like the dudes will get the whole weekend off. You don't because you got to lace them up on Thursday Night Football.
3 games in 12 days.
Against the Packers, man. Like, this is obscene.
Right, because you're going 7. Now you're going 4 and 7.
3 games in 12 days, dude.
So, you know what? And that gets you thinking, right? It's not the teams where you would pick. And I go back to Terry Foster asking that question, where are the losses? It's who's available, right? The schedule might cost you a loss. Does that make sense? Right, because the games, right? And you're playing in your division, which makes it more imperative. But there's something different about this team. Like this team is sort of up to tasks. Here's the task ahead of you now, and whoever it is that's wearing the uniform on Thursday or Sundays or whatever it is, I mean, you just feel good. Don't you feel? You see the way these games play out. I was mentioning it to you earlier, Neal, is like, okay, we figured it out. If anybody's going to do something against our defense, usually in the first series.
And then that's
and then we're going to hold them to a field goal, and then we're going to go to work on them. I mean, it's just and I know, Jacksonville. You can say, okay, that team's trash. Okay,
Yeah.
they're still an NFL team, but Indianapolis, not as much trash. So this Chicago team coming off the way that they lost the other day, they're going to be hungry. They got stuff to prove. So I think we'll be ready though.
Woodward Sports chat thread, Larry Roberts. Neal, would you sign Xavier Howard at cornerback for depth since we got banged up at that position after hearing that they were interested in Steven Nelson? I don't know, because Xavier Howard had a workout with the Bengals, and they were like, later.
Yeah.
Also, too, I hear that the Buccaneers are kind of the favorites in the mix for him right now. But when a team brings you in for a workout and they don't sign you, and you were just cut.
Especially a team like the Bengals who are at desperate need of defense right
for
now.
anything.
Yeah.
So that always gives me a little bit of a pause. So, it's one of those things, D-Mac, where I know everybody wants to run to the fantasy football and they see that he was a $90 million contract guy, but something's not right. If they bring you in for a workout and they send you on your way, ... The writing's kind of on the wall. Plus, we got to get past this. And look, Larry, I'm not killing you on this, all right? I'm not. It's our de facto muscle memory response to it. We got to remember, it's different for guys to come here. They got to be cut a little different. It's not just like a plug and play thing where this guy was good 3 years ago, put him in here, he'll be good. Does he fit? Do they like him? There are a lot of conditions that need to be met. It's kind of an exclusive club, D-Mac,
It is.
to be a player for the Lions. Believe it or not.
Look who works the door to the club. One side's Dan Campbell, the other side's Brad Holmes. So you gotta get into the club,
Right.
before you even get your cocktails, whatever you're gonna be doing. So you got to be part of the herd, right? And they check that. So if you don't see certain guys for whatever reason, might not be lack of talent, might be lack of doesn't play well with this group.
Right. Rad Dad Scott, who do you see coming in then? I don't know that they bring somebody in. Terrion Arnold's supposed to play, right? He's a go?
Well, they haven't said yet, but
The sources say yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, do they need to bring somebody in?
Emmanuel Mosley should be good to go. He was active
played special
the last
teams.
game.
Which is kind of wild to me. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense to some degree, but if you're good enough to go play special teams,
right.
you could.
No, dude. I can totally see this is a different situation with a guy who can barely get a series in for the past 3 years. That they want to get his running legs in the game,
Right.
just doing laps and stuff like this. So to me, he's the key. We obviously know what Vildor does on the outside, and somebody was mentioning how off does he play. Probably the most off coverage of a wide receiver, no matter, because he's just so afraid of getting beat and ends up doing it. But Mosley could be that could be the guy. If he can stay healthy and get back into the mix, I think that gives him an opportunity where you didn't put him into the fire, right? Because imagine worst thing would if he would have been to get hurt. I understand special teams, but not today's special teams. But he got the juice and the flow and maybe a little bit of the speed. So could be a big guy that we need stepping up right now. A perfect time to come back.
No doubt.
And it doesn't matter, right? Think about it. If he comes in and he is a factor or effective in helping out just what they built on the back end, then all the time he's missed, who cares?